want to ask you both to introduce yourself, why you are interested in AI, what are you doing now, because we already talked to each other about the things you are busy with. I mean, because during past 2-3 months, as we communicated a lot in Venture Lab, we have done something to each other there. And after that, we will go to some questions about the things related to the topic. Okay. If you agree, we will start with Milan. And at the same time, we can check the chat if anyone already answered our questions. Milan, you are mute.
Yeah, sorry. So Ben, again, thanks for the invite. Yeah, let me introduce myself. I'm basically, what I do is helping businesses to implement AI and AI tools into their businesses. So and why I do that, because I'm really passionate about the topic AI and what it can bring and how it can impact businesses in general, and for me personally, how it can make my own interaction with systems more efficient via AI. So yeah, that's basically what I do. I try to educate and help businesses to implement it in the best possible way.
Great, and you are doing something like this based on the umbrella term of Match AI. Am I right? I mean, would you like to?
Yeah, under the name AI Match. Yeah.
AI Match. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good. Great. So, Wijnand, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Of course. Yeah. So my name is Wijnand, and I'm a software developer and entrepreneur for the last 7 years. I've been working on many different startups and scale-ups, and now since 1.5 years, I really went all in on AI to build the best possible AI solutions with all the new technology that's available. Especially after ChatGPT and everything that happened this year, I'm building some really cool stuff with that.
Yeah, which means you are some kind of ChatGPT ambassador as well. Am I right?
You could
all the time.
Yeah. I'm talking about ChatGPT and other AI tools nonstop, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you are a digital nomad.
Yeah, I have been traveling a lot in the last 7 years also, since I started my career. Yeah, now I'm in the Netherlands again, but this year I've been in Brazil, and I've been in Bali, Thailand. Yeah, so traveling quite a lot.
Great. Okay. I already shared some main questions with you both, but maybe during the conversation, we also ask something different, and I want to ask the people who are here to also share their questions in chat box. And I mean, it could be possible to have some kind of interactions here. If they want, also they can turn on their video as well. That's it. So, Milan, I want to ask you to share some specific examples of the things you already did. I mean, you already had some experiences in terms of helping businesses to utilize AI tools. And all the time you are talking about shifting mindset instead of just using tools, I mean AI tools. Would you like to share something with us about that topic?
Yeah, so yeah, basically what I do, at first I try to educate the management and the employees in a company, because a lot of times they still do not know what they do not know, and that makes it difficult to provide a solution immediately, because they do not know what to ask from you. So at first I'm presenting about AI and how AI is, how full AI implementation looks like in the world, and after that we try to look at how they have interaction with systems into their company and how we can implement AI and AI tools into that. An example of that is not what I did, but I found it a great example from ABN AMRO, which is a Dutch bank. What if you called ABN AMRO 2 years ago, you got an employee on the phone, and in that conversation, the person who talks to the ABN AMRO asks a question, and then I think in 95% of the cases, the employee said, "1 moment, please." And that's an example of what the employee is actually saying. I have to look into the knowledge base to find the right answer. And that's an example of what was an inefficient process. And what if you call the ABN AMRO now, AI is listening with that conversation, and you still get a human on the phone. You get a human interaction, but AI is going through the knowledge base based on the question of the person who talks to the ABN AMRO bank, and then the answer just pops up in the screen of the employee, and the employee can answer that question of that solution for that question. So that's how AI for the ABN AMRO makes the process way more efficient, because looking through a knowledge base is really AI can really help with that interaction with the system. So that's an example of how AI is implemented in there and still keeps the human in the loop, but just make the interaction with the system way more efficient. And that's what AI can bring for companies. Having the interaction with system optimized more, and
got it. Great, thank you for sharing that example as well. Unfortunately, again, my video is not working, my camera is not working, so I have to continue without sharing my video, because if I will stop the room and restart my laptop, maybe everything is gone, you know. So which means we will continue before talking about a screenless ecosystem, which is really favorable for Wijnand, as I know, and ChatGPT. I want to ask Wijnand as well about the key benefits and returns on investment. I mean, the businesses can expect when they implement AI solutions, because as I know, you are also interested in these parts. I mean, helping businesses to understand how to utilize AI tools as well.
Yeah, so thanks for the question. In my opinion, from everything that I've learned so far, of course, it really depends which use cases you're talking about and for which businesses. But in general, you could say that AI will, the regular AI solution will help a business to become more productive, or at least make the employees more productive at what they do, or make the results of what the employees can do higher quality in general. I think that's what's really cool about it, and it of course can be AI technologies are very widely, so they can be applied in many different ways. But yeah, in general, you can expect a lot more productivity for your employees, and if done well, you can really remove some bottlenecks even in your company and really scale your business.
Oh, great. So I think in this part, Milan maybe can share many interesting and important points, because we already talked about that, which means when you want to start using AI tools or shifting this mindset in your company, sometimes you need to change your mindset as a manager or leader. yesterday we talked about that. Maybe Milan, you want to share that point as well. I mean, giving a space to people to try to even sometimes waste the resources as well to learn and being prepared for the next step.
Yeah, so basically what AI can bring at the personal level, that you become way more efficient with interaction with system, but you have to know how to interact efficiently with an AI model, because interacting with a model like that is fundamentally different than interacting human to human. Because if I interact with Wijnand, there is a whole year of context behind that in every new conversation that I am not going through again. And if you have an interaction with an AI or ChatGPT conversation, that context is missing. Every new interaction is basically some sort of a clean sheet, and that makes it that is the point that humans found very difficult to have meaningful output out of those conversations. And that comes, like, programmers have find it way more easy to have meaningful conversations with AI system, because they know how to interact on a very childish way with computers. But people who've never programmed found it way more difficult, because in most of the cases, they are straight to the point, and then the context is missing, and that is something that you have to give room for that struggle with AI interaction, and you have to give room as a company to provide employees to have that interaction inside the company, so that they can feel themselves how to interact with it, how to struggle with it, and in the end how it can bring meaningful output to them. But it is a struggle in the beginning, and it's a learning process and a feedback loop how you have those good interactions.
So Wijnand, you want to add something?
Yeah, I agree 100% with Milan, and I just want to emphasize that it's really an investment, a personal investment, or an investment as a company that you make if you get started with AI. For example, you could buy ChatGPT Plus, and it will cost you some money, and maybe you don't immediately see the returns. But the more you start using it, after a while, you really start seeing that you get all these different benefits, that after a while you learn how it works, and after a while the way you interact with computers is just going to be so much easier and faster. And that's also a transformation I saw with myself this year, because I feel I've done AI for more than 10 years, but this year I really have the feeling that it really starts becoming useful in a everyday life for me.
Yeah. So speaking of ChatGPT, I want to continue this conversation by asking a question from you, Wijnand, about the screenless ecosystem of ChatGPTs you already try to talk about. Would you like to explain what is this concept, why it's important, and maybe you want to share some examples with us as well?
Yeah, sure. And maybe I can share my screen a little bit.
It's a good idea.
Because I think that's one of the best ways to get started with AI if you're currently not using it every day. Because last month OpenAI released a new update which is called the GPTs update. It's in February. January or February they are also going to release the GPT store. And this is a huge update, and most people still don't know about it, and I'm super excited about it. I'm using it almost every day now, What it basically does is it allows many different types of GPTs, and you can easily make your own GPTs also. So if you go here, and by the way, I should mention that currently it costs, it's not possible anymore if you have the free version right now. It's currently not possible to immediately get access to this because you need to be on the wait list for a little bit for ChatGPT Plus. But after you pass the wait list, it will cost you 20 euros or dollars a month. You'll get access to this. And it's basically your own space where you can make and build your own GPTs. And the thing that most people don't know, I mean, I guess already, who of you has heard of this already? Who of you has already seen it before?
I personally already started to use that one, as you know, but
Yeah.
I have no idea about others.
Yeah, maybe they can talk in the chat or something. Yeah, it might take a bit of time to get off the wait list. I really hope they get their shit together because, of course, with the transition of the board last month, it has slowed down some things quite a bit with OpenAI. Yeah, I just want to show you what makes this so exciting to me. Because what it does is you can easily make any GPT, and you can easily use English to make it behave in any way you want. So that's the most important thing to say here, because these GPTs, if you have the Plus, it also allows a GPT to use web browsing, DALL-E image generation, and even code interpretation. And basically, you can give it in English or in any language your own instructions. So in this one, for example, I made a chatbot where you fill in the domain, and then it will become a chatbot that only answers information based on what it finds on the website using the browser. So, for example, if we take Milan's website, you can see that, like, in the left side, you basically set up the chatbot, and on the right side, you can immediately talk with this chatbot. And the cool thing is, after you're done, you just click save, you say public, and boom, it's publicly available for millions of other people that have ChatGPT Plus. So let's see what AI Match does. So this chatbot is configured to only search on the very website AI Match and only give results from that website. It's also very easy, for example, to build your own company chatbot like this. And if I want to, for example, make a chatbot for AI Match, all I need to do is change this example.com into AI Match and save it with another name, and boom, I'm done. Have you already made one of that, Milan? For your own
Milan
I can
surprise.
sell one to you. But of course, you already know how to make it. So yeah, it's quite easy actually, just to do something like this. And that's also what I want to bring across, that you don't need to be a programmer anymore to make really cool applications, because that's kind of what it is. It's an application inside of ChatGPT, and you can really make it do anything you want. So yeah, it gave pretty good answer based on, founded by Milan Diekstra, based on the landing page of the website, and it translated it from Dutch into English, and maybe it can even give me some tools. Can you advise me on some tool for content generation? It would be cool if it again searches on AI Match. At least that's what I'm hoping. AI tools for content generation on aimatch.nl only. This is a live demo.
Yeah, which means you want to share this point that for different purposes we can create different ChatGPTs.
Yes.
And even some kind of something wrong?
Yeah, it happens all the time. It's still still in beta, so there's a lot
Yeah.
of pressures, but you can see the potential here, I guess. I'm sorry if I'm continuing for too long, by the way.
No,
We can
it's
move on.
great. Also, I want to ask you to talk about the screenless. You already started to do
Oh yeah.
something. I mean, that concept also is really interesting. After that, we will continue with Milan. I have more questions.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so after I saw this update, I couldn't sleep that night because I knew something's going on, and this is a big change, you know. So I decided to, for a little bit, lie down my other project that I was working on, and that's called ActionSchema. This is my first project this year. And then I started with my new application that is now also ready to try. You can go on screenless.org, and it basically I decided to go all in on this for a couple of weeks, which is what I did in the last month. And this is a phone number you can call that records what you say, and after that you get into a dashboard where you can connect the transcript of what you said, or maybe if you had a conversation, the transcript of the conversation with other people as well. And then you can basically plug it into all these different GPTs that I had. So I started building GPTs, and I made a screenless meeting summarizer, a screenless story maker, a screenless presentation generator, and basically all these different GPTs, all these different tasks, you can now do without using your screen, and you can just do it with your voice. So this is what I'm super excited about, because it really makes a whole different way of working possible. And I've been using it to make social media posts. I've been using it to do all kinds of things, blogs, write emails, and I do it while I'm walking in the forest, you know, instead of being in the office behind my screen all the time.
Yeah, don't worry, less.
I had a little conversation today during dinner. Quite an interesting one, and like from there, after you hang up the phone, it will also give you some suggestions for posts that you can do on Twitter based on the things you've said. It will give you the summary here, and basically it also shows you the exact words that you and the other person said. And this is how you get into the blog post writer. You just click the button, you copy paste, and boom, it starts working. But you can do that, of course, after you return from your walk, for example, and you can do this just in nature or wherever, and then it starts writing a blog post. Yeah, so that's it. Maybe if anyone else has other questions about it.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Or maybe continue with the other questions.
Yeah, you already shared some more details about the questions I wanted to ask you. So that's why I want to come back to Milan and ask about something else. Milan, you are more focusing on SMEs, I mean, small and medium enterprises, to help them to understand and change in terms of using and utilizing AI tools. Are there any common challenges or any obstacles that those SMEs, I mean, those businesses often face when they want to use AI, and how can they cope with those kind of challenges?
Yeah, so one challenge for SMEs is that a lot of times the decision makers are more of the elderly people, and those decision makers of smaller companies also are a lot of times a bit more conservative, and that makes it more difficult to let them feel the urge of using AI into their daily life. So that's one thing that makes it difficult sometimes. But am focusing on small and medium enterprises because I'm focusing on them because they do not need someone who works there full time, but they need to hire somebody temporary to introduce them to this technology and to help them educate them on this topic. And in larger organizations, they have teams about this topic and have the money to have teams about who are working with AI. But in small and medium enterprises, the money is often not there, and they want temporary, and they want to have that flexibility in those on AI. So but the difficulties are that management is often around 50 and not really into this technology. So and you need the decision makers to hire you, basically. So that makes it a struggle sometimes.
So have you found any solution for, fix this challenge? Those old-fashioned people.
Basically, what I did last 3 weeks is giving out AI presentations for free, just to show them what is possible, to make that barrier as low as possible. So I actually had 2 presentations today already about AI, and I do those for free just to have an entrance in a company, because otherwise they are not really they have still some sort of fear about this topic, and I try to by in this way to overcome that. So that helps, and that helps to show yourself, to make your case, and it's in practice it's a really nice way. So yeah.
Got it. And based on your experience, what industries or sectors do you see having the most potential for AI-driven innovations, maybe in the future? Near future.
Yeah, that's one I'm still figuring out myself, because it's basically what AI does is making the interaction with systems more efficient, and those interactions differ a lot from company to company, even in the same industry. So a bakery can have more similarities in interaction with system with a marketing bureau than a similar bakery, for example. So that makes it to target specific industries more difficult, because it's about how they interact with systems in what way, and that makes it that it's difficult to just say marketing is going to have the most impact on. It's going to have the most impact in interaction with specific systems, and that is very different from company to company. So
But still, you think it's all about some kind of paradigm shift? It's not just about using tools. Am I right?
It's a system technology. So basically, AI is the tool, and to help you go through every system more efficient. And so it's not use that tool and you will solve your problem. It's a constant feedback loop in the coming years to optimize your interactions as much as possible.
Yeah, yesterday you said something like this is the way of thinking and working and living and something like that.
It's you constantly have to look at how you interact with systems yourself, and how AI play a role in that to make that interaction more efficient, or to combine certain systems with each other, and that kind of things. And that's a mindset to constantly look at how you have to be very conscious all the time how you interact with the systems.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make those interactions as little as possible, basically, because AI can do that interaction with system for you. So yeah.
Yeah, got it right. Great, thank you. So, based on this approach toward, I mean, AI is some kind of the way of thinking, learning, working, living, and etc. I want to ask Wijnand, how do you see the role of AI evolving in the next, for example, I wanted to say 10 years, but I think it's a lot,
Yeah.
2 or 3 years, both in business and personal context.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I can easily. I mean, it's very hard to predict the next 10 years, I would say, because it's. I mean, I don't even know for sure what's going to happen in the next 2 years. I
Yeah.
think I can only look ahead, maybe something like up to 1 year or so, because it all depends on like the updates of the big AI companies. But in general, I would say in the next 2 years, we will see a lot more startups that started this year with the new paradigm of generative AI reach
Mm-hmm.
production stage in the next year or next 2 years or so. And that will mean that there will be a lot more very, very useful AI tools in the short term. So really, it's good to keep an eye out for those. But still, the adoption of AI, it will probably take more than 2 years, probably even more than 10 years, because it's like you already said, it's a mind shift.
Uh-huh.
You really need to try to adopt it yourself first, and then after you see the value, then you will start making it a habit. But it takes some
Mm-hmm.
effort in the beginning. But what I think will happen in if we go a bit more into the future, let's say 5 or 10 years, is I also believe it's like a system technology, like Milan said, and that we will see a completely different way of how we interact with computers. And when I say that, I mean that computers will do much more for us instead of how it works now. We have to type something with the keyboard into the computer, and then the computer does something for us, but it really follows very direct instructions all the time. But instead, I think in 5 or 10 years, we will have AIs that are just there and they just listen and process information in the background. And when it's needed, when they think it's fit, they will help us with all the things that we need. And that's also ties into my vision for screenless very much. By the way, there have been some questions in the chat.
Yeah, I will back to them, but now, I mean, you are talking about stimulus, but also it reminds me you already talked about AGI, I mean, artificial general intelligence. Maybe in the future we will face with this kind of things as well. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think AGI, it's funny because I started reading about AGI about 10 years ago, and back then it was just a topic that was discussed by some crazy scientists and hippies. Now it's really a topic that many more people and many more scientists are talking about. And 10 years ago, the timeline of when we would reach AGI varied between 20 years from now and never, basically. But now I think those predictions are coming much, much closer to maybe even some people say next year. Some people even say it's already there, and some people say 5 years, 10 years. So yeah, that has really been changing rapidly, and I think it's also kind of a skill, right? It's not just a black and white boom. We have
Right.
AGI. We will slowly get
Yeah.
there and transition from a world where we have dumb computers to a world where we really have very, very useful intelligent computers.
But it seems it's waiting for us in near future.
Yeah, and I think it will come sooner than you think.
Great. So what do you think, Milan? Would you like to share or add something or just jump to another question.
Yeah, I have a question for Wijnand. Do you think it will look like in some sort of way of the recently released AI pin then, or?
Yeah, I think the pin is a really nice or interesting product. And I think it's definitely a very useful piece of hardware for AI, because it can basically, if we let it at least, and I don't know exactly about how it works right now, but if we let it can really learn a lot from the environment that it's in and really try to understand the world as we understand it, with all the context that comes with it, right? Because now with a phone, it only sees when we type in something or when we make a picture. But the pin is basically always there, and it has a microphone and a camera. So that completely changes how computers can understand the world as well.
And do you think in the end it will make persons, if AGI is there, will it make us more happy?
Who knows?
Depends on how you implement that and how you design the AGI. Because if we create an AGI that will completely eradicate the need for all human labor, and we all start watching Netflix at home, I don't think it will necessarily make us happy. But I think if we design the AI in a way to kind of make our lives better and incentivize us to become wiser and do great things instead, I think then it can be a great addition to whatever we do. There was also a couple of questions. Shall we go through that right now, or?
Yeah, I wanted before asking, I have 2-3 more questions, but before that, I prefer to check the questions inside the chat box, which is one of them from Mujtaba. He asked, what is the most interesting use case you used your specific GPT? I think he already asked you one.
Yeah, so of course I really like to be in nature, and for the first time in my life it finally became possible to do some productive work from nature with the use of my new product and GPTs, because the GPTs really make it very dynamic and possible to try anything new. You know, if you have a very specific piece of work, you can just put your process in a GPT, and then you can do part of your process automatically by using your voice. And I think that's the most powerful use case for me so far. And the other question you asked?
Yeah, Justin asked something interesting. I really like to.
Yeah, so will programming become obsolete? Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I get that one a lot. And the answer to that, I think, is, in my opinion, is that it will not become obsolete, but it will just change what programming means. Because I talked with some other programmers as well, and in a way, of course, maybe we don't need to type in a certain syntax like PHP or JavaScript anymore, but instead we are instructing the computer with English. But of course, programming is not just the syntax. Programming is much more than that. You really need to understand what your goals are, and you really need to understand what product you need to build. You need to find creative solutions to it. You need to specify the different specifications and collaborate with different multidisciplinary teams.
Yeah, right.
So programming is not going to immediately completely be replaced. But it's going to be a lot easier for sure, because a lot of people find the hard part of programming being the syntax, and that's not as big a deal anymore, and it will increasingly become easier and easier over time, I think.
And the point is, it's not just about programming. I think even in other stuff such as content creating, graphic designing or stuff like that, also you will face with the same issue. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, content creation also is becoming different, and you can do it in different ways now. And some people just type a single sentence in a certain tool, and they get 5 blogs back or something. And so it comes with a danger, of course, because you still need to have a good quality of what you create. And if you use it in the wrong way, it can also hinder you. It can make the quality worse. But yeah, it's definitely making us more productive in those areas as well, very much.
Good, great. I want to ask something very important, and I think lots of people usually when they want to use AI tools or anything like that, they are thinking about, which is privacy and security consideration as well as ethical consideration. I want to ask you both for sharing your idea about these two very important topic.
Yeah, one thing before to add on what Wijnand already said about if programming becomes irrelevant or it's just that interaction with systems that changes, and that changes in a way that you can just interact with system via your native language or any language you like. And also with content creation, the creativity shifts from output, what it like the image or the blog post shifts from output to the input you give, basically in the systems. So the creativity doesn't lie into the image anymore. The creativity lies in how you have interaction with the systems, and that's also where the creativity lies in programming. It's still, and you still have to transcript your vision and your ideas into their system. So it's in my opinion, it never becomes irrelevant because you always will need to interact and to transcribe and to put your ideas into words, and put it in the right words is a skill, and that skill is where the value lies.
Yeah, now I can remember. Yeah, last night we talked about that, and it's about prompt engineering. Am I right? Because
and prompt engineering becomes prompt engineering is a very because it in your native language it becomes accessible for everybody basically, and that's a nice thing, but also for some jobs and some jobs can it can harm some kind of jobs because of that.
You mean Milan? Because I forgot my question. I want to continue this part first. You mean the language is not a barrier?
You basically go to
right, because last night also we talked about something else. I mean about live online events, something like that. Can you remember? If it's okay, I also want to ask you to talk about that point as well.
Yeah, so basically like we're having now, we have an interaction with a system, in this case Teams, and AI is going to be there in this interaction to make this interaction also more effective and more efficient, because AI has the potential that I can just speak Dutch because that's your native language, and you can speak Persian because that's your native language.
Yeah, exactly.
And between that interaction, AI is there, and it translates it to the language you want to hear. So basically, that's an example of how with AI, basically every interaction with system becomes solo linguistic, basically.
Yeah. It's really interesting, and it's not just about translation. Also, it can copy everything, my style of talking and stuff like that. Am I right?
Yeah. You just clone your voice in 2 minutes and your lips, and it makes your avatar or whatever.
What do you think, Wijnand?
By the way, I think that tool was called HeyGen that you're talking about. Or I mean, of course, you're talking about the more general idea of what's going to change. But I think this is a really interesting tool, heygen.com, where you can really, for example, it allows you to translate your video in any language. including the voice, including the speaker, and yeah, it's quite cool. Shall we go into the privacy and ethics, or shall we go?
Yeah, exactly. It's really important for me to talk about those two main concerns, which is privacy and security, as well as ethical issues. What do you think? I mean, individuals, when they want to use AI tools, which kind of concerns they have to consider?
Yeah, so I think it's very important indeed to be aware of this privacy issue, because it's definitely not solved yet, and there's a lot of companies that are using your data, sometimes in the right way and sometimes in the wrong way. Sometimes, for example, they might be selling your data. Sometimes they might be using it to manipulate you with advertisements. And this has been a problem for decades, of course, and nothing new. I think there are also a lot of good products out there, and usually, as long as you trust the product, and you can make a decision based on their privacy policy, because many products, they state in the privacy policy, for example, whether or not they use your data. And whether or not, for example, they train models based on what you put into their system. Because, of course, this has always been like that. But I would argue it's a good thing to at least take a little look, or maybe paste the privacy policy into ChatGPT and then ask, is this good for me, or stuff like that. You can ask anything and get an answer way quicker, going through that very complicated text. But yeah, in general, what I would aim for, also what I'm as an individual looking for, is AI that really has the incentive to help me as a person and not make me the product. I believe that in a good future, in a kind of a utopia maybe, far in the future, we'll all have our personal AI inside of our home that's completely offline, and we would interact with it in the most private way, where it will never leave that information and that data to any other companies that don't need to have it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's my ideal future, where we all have our own AI at home that is completely offline, and that would be the most ethical in my opinion, where it's completely incentivized to help you, your friends, your family, and not the companies around it.
Nice fantasy. Let's stay for that future, but after that, I would like to hear more from Milan about those concerns as well. Because you are so optimistic, maybe Milan wants to play another role.
Yeah, what Wijnand stated in the end, I do not see a future where that is really going to happen. It is possible, I think, because it is possible in the end to run it on your own computer, so to run it on the local host in that way, and it's possible so to run it offline then. And for me, privacy has two sides basically. One side is that because of the Patriot Act in America, the data that gets processed there can be seen through the American government. So that makes it that is one part of the problem. And the other part is that OpenAI is not transparent of what they really do with the data, how they if they what they do with it. They are not just not transparent about that.
Yeah, and I can say one thing about that. They are saying that they don't train if you use the API. But if you use ChatGPT, they do use your chat history to train the next model. But there's also, by the way, if you don't want that, you can send them an email and you can opt out from that, and they will just not stop training on your personal data if you do so. So I think Of course, we don't know exactly what they're doing, but if they're using it, at least they are transparent most of the times about that. Most companies are.
Yeah, yeah, and I think about privacy, like they are still not into the EU GDPR regulations, but they are working on that, and I think people are basically exaggerating a bit about this topic because, in my opinion, our attention has been sold about 15 years, and Facebook still does not works via the GDPR regulations, and
Yeah,
we are
right.
fine. Facebook got a 400 million fine, and we see one headline and we go on. And if GPT trains with their models on our data, what makes the models better, and so the products of GPT better, we are not fine with that. So I personally found it fine that they use my data to improve the models I want to use, and not to use my data to sell my own attention that I, in the beginning, didn't want. So, I found it.
Also, one thing that came to mind is if you want to know if you're the product or not, it's always good to, like, you're never sure, but besides reading the privacy policy, you can also just look at the business model. Because, for example, ChatGPT has a freemium business model where they actually charge the user to use the premium product. And that means that they get a revenue source from the user, that makes it way less likely that they need to have additional resources, or sources of income, for example, through advertisements. So that makes it much less likely that they are doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're right, but in the future maybe they change their business model, and for now it's okay. But
Totally
in the future,
possible.
we have no idea. Exactly.
A for-profit company, and they are very much invested into OpenAI. So it's always good to take that into account and keep thinking about it. But for now, I think OpenAI is pretty safe to use, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
because you pay. Basically what Wijnand already said. That the company, what the company wants to achieve, and what you as a human wants to achieve if you pay for the product, are aligned with each other, and that's.
Yeah.
I will always choose to pay for the product instead of using a product and get some sort of commercialization into that. But yeah.
So I have one more question if you don't want to add something else.
No, yeah, we can go to the next topic, I guess.
Okay, and it should be my last question. In case if anybody wants to ask more questions in the chat box, it's possible. And if you want after that to add more details, it's okay for me. My last question is based on your experiences. It's about providing some practical advice for those who are interested in learning more about AI, and they want to, start this journey by using AI tools and utilizing them in their daily life. 1-2 main critical advice you want to share.
Yeah, so if you really want to start using AI more, and if you're serious about it, I think the first step for anyone and any company would be to start using the most popular and the most easy tools, for example, ChatGPT and ChatGPT Plus, because ChatGPT itself and OpenAI is what they're doing really well is making AI super, super, super accessible to people. And I think if you just have ChatGPT Plus and you try to do something with it every day, over time you will just learn, you will immerse yourself more and more into AI. And I think that's most important, to over time educate yourself, and try to understand where this is going. Milan, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, what you say, it's basically go and have interaction with these models, because if you learn how to interact with GPT, interaction with GPT is more or less the same with future models. If it doesn't really matter who wins, the interactions with those models more or less are the same. And if you know, you really have to maybe look some YouTube tutorials about how to prompt engineer, how to do things, but really have those interactions and just in that way you're gonna feel how you need to talk to an AI and how you can have meaningful output again and again instead of a lucky shot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also it's important to not only watch the news about AI, don't just consume, but really try it out in practice. Because if you're only consuming the news every day, and you may have FOMO, I think that's not the right way to do it, because it's not going to help you. You're not learning much by just consuming all the new things that happen every day. I personally don't watch a lot of news on AI because it just keeps coming. It's just too much to follow. I mean, I do have a couple of good sources, but it doesn't take me more than 1 or 2 hours a week. And I think the more useful is to really practice instead of only watching and consuming. Yeah.
Is AI one of the sources?
No. I mean, I did make something with my tool to get news from different news websites, for example, from the OpenAI blog and other AI companies, to every week give me an update for that. So that works. But most of the news sources that I'm using is some really good YouTubers like David Shapiro, for example. But also there are some good newsletters like Ben's Bytes, for example. It's a good one to learn about it, and I sometimes read some papers on the new AI topics, AI inventions.
And as I found, usually you can find some information, news about AI trends on AI Match LinkedIn page as well.
Yeah,
Am
that's
I right, Milan?
well. From Milan.
Yeah, from Milan, exactly.
So, what is the question, Ben? Or
I just said also people can find some more information about these trends on your AI Match LinkedIn page as well.
yeah, but I do it all in Dutch, so it's basically my
No problem, because there is a option behind any post that you are sharing there to translate to English as well.
Then I will share my.
Yeah, I mean I didn't have any problem in terms of the language. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I'll also share my LinkedIn. If you want to talk, feel free to add me.
Yeah, Milan, would you like to share your LinkedIn as well? Your personal LinkedIn, I mean.
Of course.
So, it's almost 1 hour we have been talking, and seems we tried to cover whatever we already decided to talk about. If you want to share anything else, I want to ask you to talk about, and then we close this session.
I will make a summary of it in case some people missed something. Some of your friends maybe couldn't join, and also some of my friends. So after 1 hour, the call actually I started already in the beginning, and I'm gonna make a summary right now to automatically to
Interesting.
to get that sent to all the participants.
Which means no need to, I mean, publish this recorded video. Am I right?
I mean, the whole video might also be useful, but for people that don't have so much time, they can also watch the summary.
Great, thank you. And you will publish that one on your LinkedIn or somewhere else?
Yeah, I can send it to you as well, so you can send it to the participants, but I will also share it on my LinkedIn. Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice.
Nice, nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, for the invite. And yeah.